Hello students, Jinali Shah welcomes you on behalf of Saraswat International Academy. Today we will begin with the last part of the chapter Reproductive Health. In the previous videos we have studied regarding the various contraceptive methods. Today we will learn regarding the MTPs, that is medical termination of pregnancy. We will also study regarding the sexually transmitted diseases, as well as we will study regarding the infertility. So first of all we will deal with the medical termination of pregnancy, that is MTP, or also called as induced abortion. So first of all, what is MTP? So it means intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy before full term, that is before the fetus becomes viable. It is called medical termination of pregnancy, that is MTP, or also called as induced abortion. So basically it is the termination of the pregnancy before the fetus becomes viable. Nearly 45 to 50 million MTPs are performed in a year all over the world, which accounts to 1/5 of the total number of the conceived pregnancies in a year. So of the total number of conceived pregnancy in a year, 1/5 of the pregnancies they turn into MTP. Obviously from this we can say that MTP has a significant role in decreasing the population, though it is not meant for that purpose. From above data we can say that the MTP has played the significant or important role in decreasing the population, but we should keep in mind that it is not the purpose of the MTP. Now, whether to legalize or accept MTP or not is being debated in many countries due to emotional, ethical, religious and social issues involved in it. So many countries are debating on whether to accept MTP or not because the social, emotional, ethical and religious issues are associated with it. Government of India legalized MTP in 1971 with some strict conditions to avoid its misuse. So our country legalized MTP, but there are certain conditions so that there is no misuse of this particular law. Such restrictions are all the more important to check indiscriminate and illegal female feticides which are reported to be high in India. So basically the main restriction imposed in this act is to check that there is no indiscriminate or illegal female feticides, because these cases are reported to be high in our country. Now what are the conditions to perform MTP, or why MTP, or when MTPs could be performed? So basically MTP is performed to get rid of unwanted pregnancies. So basically to get rid of unwanted pregnancies, the MTP could be performed. Now what can be considered as an unwanted pregnancy? So basically first is the casual unprotected sexual intercourse. That is, if during the sexual intercourse there is no use of the contraceptive devices, and as there was no use of the contraceptive devices, fertilization took place which resulted into implantation, which resulted into pregnancy. So to get rid of this pregnancy which occurred due to not using of the contraceptive devices, then we can use MTP. Next condition is failure of contraceptive devices. So during sexual intercourse contraceptive devices were used, but those contraceptive devices didn't work. As they didn't work, as they failed to work, the fertilization took place, implantation took place, pregnancy remained, and to get rid of this pregnancy MTP could be used. The next condition is if the pregnancy is a result of rape. So if a woman becomes pregnant due to the rape, then also MTP could be performed, and that is called as the humanitarian cause of the MTP. The next condition is pregnancy might endanger two mother's life. That is, if the delivery is carried out, it may pose the threat to the life of the mother. In this case also MTP could be performed, and that is the medical cause of the MTP. The next cause is the child being born with a serious illness. So basically, if before birth we come to know that the child which is to be delivered will be born with some serious illness, then in that cases also MTP could be performed, and that is called as the eugenic cause of the MTP. So basically from the last two causes we can say that the continuation of the pregnancy could be harmful or fatal either to mother or to fetus or to both. That is, if pregnancy is continued, it could be harmful or even fatal, that is life threatening either to mother or to fetus or both. Then in this case the MTP could be performed. So these are the 5 cases when the MTPs could be performed. Now, when MTP should be performed, it is said that if the MTP is performed during the first trimester, that is up to the 12 weeks of the pregnancy, then such MTPs are relatively safe. So MTP performed during the first trimester, that is up to the 12 weeks of the pregnancy, are considered safe. The second trimester abortions are much riskier. It means if the MTP is performed during the second trimester, then such MTP could be riskier. It may be even fatal. Now, there are certain disadvantages of the MTP. What are those disadvantages? So, one disturbing trend observed is that majority of the MTPs are performed illegally by unqualified quacks, which are not only unsafe but fatal too. So, one most dangerous trend observed is that the MTPs, most of the MTPs performed are illegal, as well as they are performed by unqualified quacks. It means they are performed by the untrained person, and as the MTPs are performed by the untrained person, such MTPs are not only unsafe but they are fatal. That is, it may take the life of the mother too. The next dangerous trend is the misuse of amniocentesis to determine the sex of the unborn child. Frequently, if the fetus is found to be female, it is followed by MTP that is totally against what is legal. So next disadvantage of MTP is, normally we know that amniocentesis is performed to know whether an unborn child is suffering from some chromosomal abnormalities or not, but through amniocentesis the sex of the child could also be determined. So in this case, if the sex of the unborn child is found to be female, then in many regions it is followed by MTP, and this is totally illegal because as we have studied that MTP is not performed to kill the female fetus. There are other reasons why MTPs are performed, but in our country and other countries, what is happening? If the sex of the child is found to be female, then it is followed by MTP, and that is totally illegal. So these are the two major disadvantages of MTP. First, majority of the MTPs are performed illegally by unqualified quacks, which is not only unsafe but also fatal. Second, the misuse of amniocentesis to determine the sex of the unborn child. and if the sex is found to be female, then it is followed by MTP, which is totally illegal. So such practices should be avoided because these are dangerous both for young mother and fetus. Effective counseling on need to avoid the unprotected coitus and risk factors involved in illegal abortions, as well as providing more healthcare facilities, could reverse the mentioned unhealthy trend. So we have studied the two disadvantages. So such practices should be avoided because it is dangerous both for the mother as well as for the fetus. And for that, what is required? How can we control that? So for that, the effective counsel is needed to avoid unprotected sexual intercourse, as well as what are the risk factors which are involved in illegal abortions, as well as we should provide the best healthcare facilities so that this unhealthy trend which is prevailing in the society could be controlled. Now, the lawful standards for the MTP. So basically, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Act 2000 was enacted by Government of India with intention of reducing the incidence of illegal abortion and consequent maternal mortality and morbidity. So, as I told you earlier, when the law was formed, but there were changes made in this law. So, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Act, which was formed in 2017. So, what were the changes made in the old law? So, here the basically Government of India, they made the changes in such a way that there would be the reduced incidence of the illegal abortion, and due to that the maternal mortality and morbidity could also decrease. So morbidity basically means the condition of being deceased. So basically, if illegal abortions are there and if that illegal abortions are performed by unqualified quacks, the mother may suffer from some other conditions also. So changes were made in the act, and such changes were related to reduce the incidence of the illegal abortion and consequent maternal mortality, that is death of the mother, and morbidity. Now what is this act? According to this act, a pregnancy may be terminated on certain considered grounds within first 12 weeks of pregnancy on the opinion of one registered medical practitioner. So basically, according to this act, a person, if they desire to terminate a pregnancy, then it should be within the first 12 weeks of the pregnancy by the opinion of one registered medical practitioner. Now, if the pregnancy have lasted more than 12 weeks but fewer than 24 weeks, two registered medical practitioners must be of opinion formed in good faith that the required ground exists. Now we know that what are the conditions to perform the pregnancy. As I told you, the MTPs basically are safe during the first trimester, and if the MTP is performed during the first trimester, then only the opinion of one registered medical practitioner is required. But if the pregnancy have lasted for more than 12 weeks but fewer than 24 weeks, that is second trimester abortions, then the opinion of two registered doctors are required. That opinion should be formed in good faith that the required ground exists. Now, what are such grounds? What are the cases when the pregnancy could be, when the MTPs could be performed during the second trimester. So the grounds for such termination of pregnancy are: the continuation of the pregnancy would involve a risk to the life of the pregnant woman or of grave injury, physical or mental health. So, if the second trimester abortions are to be performed, then what are the conditions for that? So basically, if the continuation of the pregnancy involves a risk of the life of a pregnant woman, or after the pregnancy she may suffer from some injury, that is physical or mental health, then such pregnancies could be terminated. Second, the substantial risk that of the child were born, it would suffer from such physical or mental abnormalities as to be seriously handicapped. So like the next condition if a child is born and if that child would suffer from physical or mental abnormalities, or if a child is seriously handicapped, then in such cases the pregnancy could be terminated. So that was regarding the MTP. We have studied the causes of MTP, or why conditions when the MTPs could be performed. What is the law stating the MTPs? Also we have studied when the MTPs could be performed. Now the next one is the sexually transmitted diseases. Name itself suggests the diseases which spread through the sexual intercourse, or those diseases which are transmitted through the sexual intercourse, they are called as sexually transmitted diseases. So diseases or infections which are transmitted through the sexual intercourse, they are called as sexually transmitted disease, or also called as venereal disease, or also called as the reproductive tract infections. Students, whatever short forms are given, they are very important for boards as well as for the NEET purpose. Now, which are some common sexually transmitted diseases? So, gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, chlamydiasis, genital warts, trichomoniasis, hepatitis B, and one of the most discussed infection in the recent years is the HIV virus leading to AIDS. So these are some of the common STDs: gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, chlamydiasis, genital warts, trichomoniasis, hepatitis B and AIDS. So these are some of the most common sexually transmitted disease. Of all these, the HIV infection which leads to AIDS is the most dangerous one. Now, of these infections which we have studied, I told you, some infections like hepatitis B and HIV, they can also be transmitted by sharing of injection needles, surgical instruments, etc. with the infected persons, transfusion of blood from the infected mother to the fetus too. Now, of the mentioned diseases, the two diseases like hepatitis B and HIV, they are transmitted through sexual intercourse, but they can also be transmitted by other modes also. Like if a person is suffering from this disease. Now, if a healthy individual shares the injection needle, surgical instrument of the infected person, then the healthy person could have the disease. Then transfusion of the blood, that is, if a blood of the infected person is given to a healthy person, then he or she may also get that particular disease. And if the mother is suffering from the above mentioned disease, that is hepatitis B and HIV, then the fetus too could suffer from the disease. Now, except for hepatitis B, genital herpes and HIV infections, other diseases are completely curable if detected early and treated properly. So, of the mentioned STDs, the 3 STDs, that is hepatitis B, genital herpes and HIV infections, these diseases are not completely curable, but other STDs, they are completely curable if they are detected in the early stage and if the treatment is proper. Now, what are the general symptoms of STDs? So, early symptoms of most of these diseases are minor and they include itching, fluid discharge, slight pain, swellings in the genital region. So, these are the basically early symptoms include itching, fluid discharge, slight pain, swelling basically in the genital region. Infected females may often be asymptomatic and they may remain undetected for longer period of time. In many cases, the female are often asymptomatic and hence as they are asymptomatic, the diseases remain undetected for the longer period of time. So, absence or less significant symptoms in early stages of infection and social stigma attached to the STDs deter or stop the infected person from going for timely detection and proper treatment. So, basically, as the persons are asymptomatic or show less significant symptoms in early stages and the social stigma which are attached to STDs, due to that the infected person they deter or stop for going to detect as well as for the proper treatment of the STDs. Now, the next one are the complications related to STDs. Suppose if a person is showing symptoms but due to social stigma attached to STD, he is not going for timely treatment, then certain complications may result. So, what are the complications related to STDs? Most common one is the pelvic inflammatory diseases, that is the inflammations in the pelvic regions or the organs of the pelvic regions undergo the inflammation. The next one is abortions. The next one is stillbirths, which means delivery after the 20th week of the pregnancy of a baby who has died. So, stillbirths means delivery of the baby who have died. So, that is stillbirth. The next is ectopic pregnancies, which means the implantation basically occurs outside the uterus, or you can say implantation of the fertilized egg occur in the uterus. The next one is infertility and cancer of the reproductive tract. So, these are the complications related to STD. So, if the STDs are not detected in early stage or if detected but the treatment is not taken properly, then such complications could arise. So, STDs are the major threat to the healthy society. Therefore, prevention and early detection and cure of these diseases are given the prime consideration under the reproductive health care programs. So, as STDs are the major threat to the society, their prevention, their detection and cure, they are given the most importance under the reproductive health care programs. Though all the persons are vulnerable to these infections, their incidences are reported to be very high among the persons in the age group of 15 to 24 years, the age group to which you also belong. So, all the persons are vulnerable to the STDs, but the cases are reported very high in the age group of 15 to 24 years. But students, don't panic because prevention is in your hands. So, what is the prevention of STD? One could be free of these infections if we follow certain simple principles. So, what are those certain principles? Avoid sex with the unknown partners or multiple partners. That is, we should not have the sexual intercourse with the unknown person as well as with many persons. Always use the condoms during the coitus, because as we know that the condoms, they act as the safeguards for the STDs. In case of doubt, go to a qualified doctor for early detection and get complete treatment if diagnosed with a disease. Suppose you have a doubt, then go to the qualified doctor for detection, and if detected with the disease, go for the complete treatment of the disease. So that is regarding the STDs. Now the last topic of the chapter, that is infertility. Now what is infertility? So basically we know that large number of couples all over the world including India are infertile. That infertile, which means they are unable to produce the children in spite of unprotected sexual cohabitation. We know that if the sexual intercourse is performed using the contraceptive methods, then there are no chances of the pregnancy. But there are many couples all over the world which are infertile, which means they undergo unprotected sexual intercourse, but still they are unable to produce the children. So that the inability to conceive or produce the children even after the unprotected sexual cohabitation is called as infertility. So what is infertility? The inability to conceive or to produce the children even after the unprotected sexual intercourse, then it is called as infertility. So what is it? It is inability of the man to produce sufficient number of sperms or the quality of the sperms to impregnate a woman, or inability of the woman to become pregnant or maintain a pregnancy. So it should be kept in mind that the infertility is not only due to the women, but men may also be responsible. If the man is unable to produce the sufficient number of sperm as well as the proper quality of sperms, then also infertility may arise, and the inability of the woman to become pregnant or to maintain the pregnancy, then also the infertility may arise. Now the reasons for such infertility could be physical, congenital, that is from birth, certain diseases, use of certain drugs, it may be immunological, or it may be even psychological. So these are the certain reasons for infertility. Now in India, often female is blamed for the couples being childless, but more often than not, problem lies in the male partner. In our country, normally for infertility, females are blamed, but it should be kept in mind that in most of the cases, the male partner becomes responsible for the infertility. Now, for the diagnosis and treatment of this problem, there are specialized healthcare unit, or you can say infertility clinic, which could help in the diagnosis and corrective treatment of some of the disorder and enable these couples to have the children. So, to treat this, there are specialized healthcare units which help in the diagnosis and treatment of the disorders and will help the couples to have the children. Wherever such corrections are not possible, the couple could be assisted to have the children through the special techniques which are called as assisted reproductive technologies or ART techniques. So basically, if the corrections are not possible, then the couples could be assisted. They would be told to have the children through some special techniques called as the assisted reproductive technologies. So we will study regarding the assisted reproductive technologies. So what do you mean by that? So it is a collection of procedures which includes handling of gametes and or embryos outside the body to achieve a pregnancy, which is called as the assisted reproductive technology. So what is assisted reproductive technology? The set of procedures which includes the handling of the gametes and embryos outside the body to achieve the pregnancy. It is called as the assisted reproductive technology. It increases the chance of pregnancy in infertile couples. So this techniques, the ART technology, increases the chance of the pregnancy in the infertile couples. Now what ART includes? Which are the various procedures involved in ART? So intrauterine insemination, that is IUI, in vivo fertilization IVF, embryo transfer ET, zygote intrafallopian transfer ZIFT, gamete intrafallopian transfer GIFT, intracytoplasmic sperm injection ICSI, intrauterine transfer IUT, artificial insemination AI, peri-implantation genetic diagnosis, oocyte and sperm donation, and finally the surrogacy. So these are certain techniques involved or procedures involved in ART. We will study some of them. So in vitro fertilization, it means fertilization outside the body in the almost similar condition as that in the body. IVF, in vitro fertilization. What does it mean? It means fertilization outside the body of the female, but conditions are provided. All those conditions which are present in the body of the female, they would be provided, and that would be followed by embryo transfer. So fertilization will take place outside the body of the female. That is, zygote would be formed outside the body, and then it would be followed by the embryo transfer technique. So in this method, popularly known as test tube baby program, how it is performed, how IVF is performed. The IVF, it is also commonly called as test tube baby program. So here, ova from a wife or a donor female and the sperms from the husband or the donor male, they are collected and are induced to form the zygote under simulated conditions in the laboratory. So the sperms and ovum, they would be collected. Sperms would be collected from the husband or the donor male, and the ovum would be collected from the wife or the donor female, and they are allowed to meet and form the zygote in the laboratory under the simulated conditions. Now, the zygote itself or the early embryos, that is up to the 8 blastomeres, could then be transferred into the fallopian tube. Then it is called as zygote intrafallopian transfer, and the embryos with more than 8 blastomeres are transferred into the uterus, that is called as intrauterine transfer, to complete the further development. Now normally what is IVF? It is fertilization outside the body. So what is the condition? Women may provide the proper conditions for the implantation and for pregnancy, but her fallopian tubes are not proper. That is, it is unable to provide the conditions which are required for the fertilization. So here in IVF, which is commonly called as the test tube baby program, what is done? The ovum and sperm would be collected, then it will be allowed to form the zygote in the laboratory under the stimulated conditions. Now, either the zygote itself or the early embryo, that is up to the 8 blastomeres, zygote divides and it forms the blastomeres. So, directly zygote, or you can say the blastomeres, they would be 8 blastomeres, they would be transferred to the fallopian tube. If they are transferred to the fallopian tube, this now is called as ZIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian transfer. Zygote inside fallopian transfer, that is zygote would be transferred into the fallopian tubes. And if the embryos with more than 8 blastomeres is used for transfer, then it would be transferred into the uterus. So, if more than 8 blastomeres are formed, they are transferred into the uterus, and therefore it is called as intrauterine transfer. Intra, inside, uterine, uterus. So, after the formation of zygote, what is transferred plays the important role. If zygote itself or the early embryo up to the 8 blastomere stage is transferred, then it would be transferred into the fallopian tube, that is called as zift. And if the embryo with more than 8 blastomeres are formed, then it would be transferred to the uterus, and that is called as intrauterine transfer. And then the further development will take place within the mother body. Now, embryos which are formed by in vivo fertilization, that is fusion within the gamete, could also be used for such transfer to assist those females who cannot conceive. What does it mean? In certain, in the in vitro fertilization, what we have seen that fertilization took place outside the body of the female because their fallopian tubes were not proper. But in certain cases, what are the chances? That the fallopian tubes may be proper, but the mother's uterus is not proper, and as the mother's uterus or female's uterus is not proper, she could not conceive. So, in such cases, the embryos which are formed inside the body of the female, they could be removed and they could be transferred to the other female who have the proper uterus so that she could conceive. So, there are two things in embryo transfer. Embryo could be formed outside the body of the female and then it could be transferred into the female, and in other cases embryo could be formed inside the female, but that female is unable to conceive as its uterus is not proper, and in such cases the embryo which are formed within the body of the female could be transferred to the other female. Now next one is transfer of the ovum collected from a donor into the fallopian tube of another female who cannot produce one but can provide the suitable environment for fertilization and development. So basically gift, gamete, intrafallopian transfer. Gamete, that is ovum, intra, inside, fallopian transfer. So in certain cases, the female is not able to produce the ovum. So in such cases, what can be done? The ovum could be collected from the other donor. Now what will happen? This ovum would then be allowed to get inside the fallopian tube of the female, and that female can provide the proper environment for fertilization. So basically, if a female is unable to produce the ovum but her fallopian tubes are proper for fertilization and her uterus is also proper for implantation and for conceive of the pregnancy, then in such cases this female will use the ovum from the donor female. That ovum which is used of the donor female would be allowed to enter into the fallopian tube of the female. The next one is intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So here it is a specialized procedure to form an embryo in the laboratory in which the sperm is directly injected into the ovum. So basically ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So basically sperms would be directly injected into the ovum. Now, infertility cases, either due to the inability of the male partner to inseminate the female or due to the low sperm counts in the ejaculate, they could be corrected by the artificial insemination techniques. The earlier techniques what we saw were regarding the problems in the female. Now, what about the male partner? So, the infertility in the males, it arises either due to the inability of the male partner to inseminate the female. That is, basically the ejaculation is not proper, or it may be due to the low sperm count in the ejaculate. So, in such cases could be corrected by the technique called as artificial insemination. So, what happens in this technique? The semen either collected from the husband or the healthy donor is artificially introduced either into the vagina or into the uterus of the female. So, in such cases, what is done? So, semen would be collected from the husband or a healthy donor artificially, and then it would be introduced into the vagina or into the uterus of the female. If the semen is introduced into the uterus of the female, then it is called as intrauterine insemination. Inside uterus insemination, that is release of the sperms. So, if the sperms collected are introduced into the uterus of the female, then it is called as intrauterine insemination. Lastly, surrogacy. So, surrogacy is a method of assisted reproduction or agreement whereby a woman agrees to carry a pregnancy of another person who will become a newborn child's parent after the birth. Through in vitro fertilizations, embryo are created in the laboratory and transferred into the surrogate mother's uterus. So, that is regarding the surrogacy. So, what is surrogacy? Basically, the woman is unable, or basically the surrogate mother, it provides her uterus. So, development of the newborn will occur into the surrogate mother's uterus. Here what will happen? In vitro fertilization will take place. Embryos would be created outside the laboratory, and those embryos will be transferred into the uterus of the surrogate mothers. Now finally, the general information regarding infertility. Though options are many, all these techniques require extremely high precision handling by the specialized professional and expensive instrumentation. So, as we have seen, there are many techniques under ART, but the main thing is all these techniques, they require high precision, and it should be handled by the specialized professional only, and it requires expensive instrumentation. Therefore, basically these facilities are presently available only in the few centers in the country, because as these techniques require expensive instrumentation, these facilities are available only in the few centers of our country. And obviously, as it is highly expensive, the benefits are affordable to only limited number of couples. Emotional, religious and social factors are also the deterrents, or they discourages in adoptions of this method. As emotional, religious and social factors are involved, the couples they discourage by the use of this method. Since the ultimate aim of all these procedures to have the children in India, we have so many orphaned and destitute or poor children, extremely poor children, who would probably not survive till maturity until taken care of. So our laws permit legal adoption, and it is as yet one of the best methods for the couple looking for parenthood. So basically, what is the main aim of the art technology? The main aim is to have the children. So instead of going this, we know that in our country there are many orphaned and destitute children who would not survive till maturity if they are taken, or unless they are taken care of. So instead of that, there is a legal way, adoption, and this is the best way for the couples to look for those couples who are looking for parenthood. So that is regarding infertility, art techniques. Here we come to the end of this chapter. Thank you, students.